Hey there, welcome back to Blacklist Universe. I am Mike S. Miller, 33-year comic book industry professional, artist, writer, and all that entails. Here now on YouTube, drawing stuff for your pleasure, for your displeasure. If you hate what I'm doing, let me know in the comment section. If you love it, let me know too. Today we are tackling Marvel Rivals Squirrel Girl, doing a slight redesign here. I didn't know a whole lot about Squirrel Girl, I'll be honest with you, even though I've been reading comic books since the third grade, which I think was like, geez Louise, what year was that even? 1982 or something. I don't even remember. But even then, I really had no idea that Squirrel Girl was that old of a character. It turns out, apparently, Steve Ditko created the original Squirrel Girl back in an issue of Iron Man, like way, way, way before I was even reading comic books. And supposedly he created her to sort of lighten the mood. I guess he thought that. Well, actually, I don't know if it was him who created it or the writer or what, but they decided that comics might be getting a little bit too serious, a little too heady, and so they created this goofy character based off of all people Carol Burnett. And she had these big honking choppers and these black designs around her eyes, and she was a very creepy looking character, I'm not gonna lie. So I think it was Joe Quesada or somebody at Marvel decided to take Squirrel Girl back and turn her into something a little more palatable for the modern audience. And yeah, so as weird of a thing as it is, and it's somehow or another, Squirrel Girl seems to have caught the eye of the modern audience, at least a certain percentage of the modern, maybe the furry percentage. I don't even know, honestly, but see, she seems like a very sort of not overpowered, but it's like if you took Spider-Man and instead of getting bitten by a spider, you got bit by a squirrel, something like that, and you got the powers of a squirrel, the proportionate powers of a squirrel, which I, I, I still have a hard time wrapping my head around. So what, she can turn her head around really quickly and notice things and then scurry up trees. I don't know. I don't quite understand, but she's supposedly apparently quite powerful, and like, what is it? She called the unbeatable squirrel girl or something like that. Anyways, none of it really makes sense to me. But I thought I would try to take her and make her just a little bit more serious of a character and make it, I know, which is totally the opposite of what she was intended to be, but like it's like she just doesn't really seem to like fit in the Marvel catalog as she is, because it's just such a goofy character. It almost seems like an anime character, honestly, or a furry character, right? So I'm like, well, let's take this Squirrel Girl idea, give her basic aesthetic, and then kind of make her something that, I don't know, just feels more like a standard Marvel character. Give the idea that, yeah, she is kind of girl bossy, kind of tough. Give her that voluptuous nature that she already has in the original, or the other designs, anyways. Yeah, you know what? I did actually remember when I was looking back through the Squirrel Girl history, and I saw like her with her old, it's like a fuzzy furry leotard, and I'm like, I do remember this character. I never knew who she was. I didn't pay any attention to her. I probably saw her in like one of those old Marvel Universe books. That's probably where I saw her. But she just seemed like one of those throwaway, like, remember the Boomerang? I hated that Boomerang character. Marvel has made some really dumb characters over the decades. And I'm not saying, look, if you love Squirrel Girl, you love Squirrel Girl. I don't know enough about her to say she's a dumb character. Apparently, a lot of people do love her, so I don't want to throw mud in that direction. But I did, like I said, this is a design thing, not, but her aesthetic is actually fine. I don't have a problem with her aesthetic. But as I am trying to do some version of redesign to all the Marvel Arrivals characters, then I did want to do something that was sort of in the vein of what I would do. Like, Marvel comes to me and they say, we have a character, her name is Squirrel Girl, and you have to, this is her aesthetic, we need you to design her to be sort of a modern take for a video game with a little bit of mech tech. That's what the pouches are, just a tiny bit of mech tech, because there's like no mech tech on this character. So her design really doesn't entirely feel like it fits in Marvel Rivals along with all the other mech techie kind of characters. So I gave her Jodhpurs, sort of a classic World War II era fighter pilot or horse rider. I just know where I see them in the past. I know, like, those little guys in Germany had some Jodhpurs too, but they didn't make them up. That look for the sort of her bottom half is kind of the equestrian. I don't know why. I just thought it would look cute. I didn't really have a particular reason for why I did that, but I wanted to give her sort of the same look with the Jodhpurs and then the tall thigh boots, sort of giving her that pilot or equestrian feel, just as an aesthetic that would sort of balance out her kind of fluffy collared half coat. And this is more of a fashion thing than even a superhero type of thing. But even in the main character, she doesn't dress like a superhero at all. She's got like short shorts and a leather jacket. And then her uniqueness is she's got a giant squirrel tail. And that's kind of it. I mean, she also wears fake ears, which I got rid of that because she didn't have them in the original design of Squirrel Girl, the fake ears thing. Yeah, they're cute. Like, my daughter used to wear the cat ears when she was a teenager, but they're not real. Otherwise, she has two sets of ears, which doesn't make sense. That's not squirrelish at all. I mean, I can get the big squirrel tail. Okay, I get it. Although, is it real? I don't even know. If you know in the comment section, if her tail is even like an anatomical part of her body, let me know. I didn't want to do all of this research. I was on stream on Drawn and Quartered last night, and my friend Amy seems to be a fan of Squirrel Girl. She's very intimately familiar and like gave us the lowdown and the lore and everything. And I'm like, wow, I had no idea Squirrel Girl was like legitimately a thing for all these decades. As long as I've been a comic book reader and a professional artist, I never once until I was essentially like gone from the industry. Squirrel Girl's really only made this sort of weird renaissance in the last 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. I'm not even sure, honestly. I just didn't pay attention to her as a character. And again, no offense to everybody out there who might love her, but so I gave her one squirrelish attribute that I've never seen in the comics. Is I gave her these big black squirrel eyes, which, yeah, if you're a fan of Supernatural, you think these are the demon eyes. Sammy, Squirrel Girl's got demon eyes. But no, it's just squirrels have these big black eyes, which, makes them look like Disney cartoon characters. I didn't want to go the full anime Disney size eyes, but giving her the black eyes, it does give her a uniqueness to the point that she doesn't just look like a girl wearing a squirrel tail, right? So there is a consistency to the squirrelish motif if you do something along those lines. Yeah, and then of course I gave her voluptuousness that she's got in the comic, which nobody seems to complain about. That's good to me, right? I'm a big fan of boobs. God made boobs, so God blesses the boobs. God bless the boobs. And I didn't make her too thick around the waist, which is why it's funny, the Jodhpurs kind of give her this thickness that isn't like her body. It's like just the pants itself. But I don't know. I think with the way the tail flares out and the fluffy collar flares out, the Jodhpurs kind of do balance her out and give her something of a unique silhouette. Not that you need much more than that giant bushy tail, but in design, silhouettes matter quite a bit. So you want to have a silhouette that you can recognize across the board, even if she's standing in some weird way that you don't see her tail. The Jodhpurs and her haircut and the fluffy collar, this does overall have a nice balanced and unique silhouette, and I think it works. I think it does work overall. Going in here, I started a basic gray layer, silhouette layer, and then I dropped in my 40%. Actually, I think I dropped this down to like a 30% on the shadows, the tone layer. I do a tint, tone, hue coloring style. I explain it on quite a few of the videos. I haven't been doing it lately, so I'll kind of just drop back in here and explain it. I do the base layer, which here is gray, and then I do a darker, about 40% purple hue but I do it on a multiply layer, so it creates that darker tone, and then I go in with a lighter tone, which is white, at about 30% opacity, and I excise out of that, giving a 3-tone shade for the character. So obviously it's a 2D character, so you have to use coloring in order to give form and shape if you're not doing a lot of rendering or drop shot or shadowing, shading basically. I'm doing a lot of open line work in this style so that I can allow the color to do the heavy lifting on the giving shape and form to the underlying structure that I have already drawn in the illustration. And yeah, I think it's a good style. And when you go around and you do the whole thing, and then you go in later after the fact here and you do the flats for the colors, it's sort of fun watching those come to life. It's like painting a miniature, right? You have a little gray miniature, and then you go in, and it's, you have all the form and the shape and everything, it's already there, but then you go in with the color and you just drop them in, and then it just sort of brings all of that to life. And honestly, it's more fun because usually, like when you're coloring comic books, you're flatting first, and it's like tedious and boring and painful, and you want to Minecraft yourself in the middle of the process. But when you're doing after you've already done all the rendering, it really does actually make it more fun. So I don't know. I might suggest to colorists, do all your rendering first. And although it does cause problems, there's some problems you run into when you do the rendering first. But honestly, I think it's probably balances out better because it does make the entire process more enjoyable overall. And then lastly, I will do like touch-ups and drop these very opaque white highlights on things that should be shiny, like glossy lips or metal parts or hard plastic hard parts. When you add that higher level of tint, it does give things a more hard and or shiny feel. And overall, I didn't have to do a lot of that, obviously, for a Squirrel Girl illustration. And then I just go in and I drop a basic ground layer. I did some foliage and some just sort of a smoky background. Nothing too fancy for the background. I didn't want to distract from the character. But ultimately, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is my Squirrel Girl redefined for Marvel Rivals. Would you like to see this as a skin in the game? I think that might be fun to see. And actually, the way I designed this character, I actually find this to be more of a fun looking character that I might actually be interested in seeing in the comics rather than, I don't know, I'm just not in love with the design of Squirrel Girl. It just seems so, is it kitschy? What's the word? I don't know. If you have an idea in the comments section, let me know. Otherwise, if you are here and you're new, please do subscribe if you like these videos. Or if you hate them, let me know why you hate them in the comments section below. Let me know what characters from Marvel Rivals you'd like to see next in this series. Or if you want me to move on to something else, let me know also. Once again, I am Mike Miller. Please do hit that like, subscribe, and share, and hopefully I will see you all on the next video.